Hi guys, this video is about palindrome string. I repeat, palindrome string, not palindrome integer. Okay, if in an examination they are asking you write a program about palindrome string, you have to write this. You don't have to manipulate this code and make it as palindrome integer. Okay, because the code for palindrome integer is different, and I'll post a video about that also. So let us talk about first what palindrome is. Okay, that's palindrome. Sorry, what's palindrome is. Okay, so consider a string. Okay, let it be Nathan. Okay, yeah. So this string, the opposite of this string, that means the last letter would be now the first letter. The opposite of this string would be, any guesses? Yeah, it would be Nathan only. Okay, so Nitin is a palindrome. If I take a number, or if I take a number as a string, okay, 1 2 3 4, it is a string as it is encoded by a double quote or single quote. Okay, so it's a string. So opposite of this is 4 3 4 3 2 1. Okay, which is not equal to the straight one. Okay, so this is 1 2 3 4 as a string is not a palindrome, but 1 2 1 1 2 2 1. Yeah, the opposite of 1 2 2 1 is 1 2 2 1. Therefore 1 2 2 1 as a string is palindrome. Okay, I'm talking about string right now. Okay, so the easiest method of identify if something is a string or not is with the manipulation of the string itself, or I should say with indexing. I hope you know what indexing is. If you know, just give me the answer for the same. Let a variable b is equals to computer. Okay, computer, and print v, wait a second, v, I'm sorry, v. Okay, so the answer for this, I want to know the answer for this. Any guesses? Let us see. It would be computer itself. But what if I put 2 here? Let control s control b. This would be this. Okay, let me tell you the how this is coming that way. If I write this, okay, double quote, though that means first of all let me write like this. Okay, 1, and leave it blank. Control s control b. Okay, computer. Okay, so the first one is the initial position, and the last one, this one, is the final position of the string. I hope you know what this means. Let me tell you. Okay, I'm gonna write the index here. So it's gonna be 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Okay, so this is the indexing of the computer, right? The C is the 0th element, O is the first element, and so on. So I have to print string from first element to the last element. If it is blank, if there is no number, that means it's the last element, and if there is no number in the beginning also, it is the last element. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, I've just written this, that's why they're coming. There is an error. Okay, control s control b. So yeah, computer itself, right? If I write this also, it becomes the same. Control s control b, computer itself. Okay, so what is the third one about? Right, third one is the indentation. Okay, or I should say incrementation. If there is a blank, there is an increment of 1. Increment, I hope you know what is the meaning of increment. That means increases. That means shifting from index to index. First it is at 0, then it is at 1, then it is at 2. So it's increasing, the index is increasing. So automatically, or I should say default, it is 1. If I write 2, yeah, so this is the one. How it is 2? First is the computer, then I leave of one element. Okay, first is the computer, 0th index, then I leave 2 element. It is M, then I leave 2 element. This is U, then I leave 2 element. This is E, then I leave 2 element, nothing, right? So yeah, this is the indentation of 2. If I write 3, I'm sorry, if I write 3, this is the indentation of 3, right? But what if I write -1? Okay, what if I write -1 0? This is the opposite of computer. -1 means decrement. Okay, or I should say the opposite of string, right? You cannot write like this. If I take, let me write the index again, 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, right? You cannot write 7 to 0. If I want to go 7 and if I want to go to 0, this won't work. Okay, this is coming error because of this. Okay, this won't work, nothing would actually. So for this you have to write -1. So this is the simplest method of how you should we doing it, but this is not acceptable in examination. If that is written, and if there is a question like write a program which detects if a string is palindrome or not, and it is of 4 marks or 5 marks, then this won't work. So there is a particular code. So first we will take an input, of course let it be v or anything you want. Input, enter a number to check if it's palin palindrome, right? Right. V. Okay, v is equals to input, check if it's a palindrome or not. Okay, so yeah, if I'll take an v2, which would be an empty. I'll explain you thoroughly what this means, what the code means. Okay, for I in the range len of v. Okay, v2 would be equal to vi plus v2, right? And print v2. This is the simplest method, okay, which is acceptable in a 4 marker. Oh, I'm sorry, just wait a second. And if I write Manchu, this is the opposite of Himanshu. Okay, so now I have to first, this I have printed the opposite of the word. Now I have to check if it's a palindrome or not. Okay, in this we don't have to take a variable which would be assigned a v value. We don't have to take a v3 which would be equal to v, as we are not changing the value of v, as we are not moving the elements of v. So we don't have to take that integer. What I have done, we don't have to do the similar what I have done in my recent video. Okay, so I have to write if my v2 is equal to v, print print it's a palindrome, else print it's not. Simple. Okay, let me run this Python and yeah, let me run anything. Okay, it's not. Right, let me check if it's work with palindrome or not. Python and run config. Okay, Nathan, it's a palindrome. Yeah, so let me explain you what this specifies, what this means. Let me go thoroughly through my code. Okay, first I take an input, I take an empty string. I'll explain you what the purpose of this is. I hope you know the method of, I hope you know the logic of how this works. Okay, if I write v as Nathan, okay, as an input, if I write v as Nathan, right, if I write v as Nathan, so Nathan has so Nathan has 1 2 3 4 5, right? 1 2 3 4 5. So 5 is the length of Nathan, right? So I have to run the code till 5. Okay, that means 0 comma 5. I have to run the code till 0 comma 5, and the last number in this comma, that means the right hand side of the comma, this is -1. Okay, that means the code will not run till number 5, it will run till number 4. Okay, if I write 4, it will run till number 3. If I write 3, it will run till number 4. But the number of times it's running is the same, right? 5, because between 0 and 5 it's 5 number including 0. Okay, and 4 is between 0 and 4, it's a 5 number including 0 and 4 both. Okay, so 0 1 2 3 4, that's 5 numbers. Okay, so the code will run 5 times only. That's why I write then v. Okay, right? Okay, so this is why I have taken this. I hope you know the logic of for loops. So now inside the loop we have v of I. I hope you know the indexing I explained you earlier. If v of I, if it's written v of 0 and I have inputted computer, v as computer, okay, or v as Nathan, let me make it static. So right, yep, v is Nathan, that means it will run till 5 times. Okay, the another logic to understand this is same. If you write number, whatever number you write, it's gonna run till that number. Okay, if I write 4, it's the loop is gonna run till 4, it'll run 4 times. If I write 5, the loop is gonna run 5 times. Okay, so I've written 5, so it means the loop is gonna run 5 times. So first, the problem comes with assigning the value of I. If you understand with this concept, that's why I write 0 here. Okay, so I first will be 0. Okay, That means v2, which is a blank string, okay, or I should say empty string, v2 is equals to v1 plus v2. Okay, I hope you know the concatenation of string. Okay, if I write v1 is equal to is equal to is equal to Hima plus Shu and Shu, right? So what this would print, if I print v2, what this would print, it will print Himanshu only. Okay, so this is the concatenation of strings. That, so I'm using the concatenation of strings. v2 is equals to v of I plus v2. That means empty string is equals to v of I, which is n, plus empty string. Okay, the code will run again. v2, which is now n. Okay, v2 is equals to n, or I should say v2 is equal to v of I. That means v of I is now v of 1, right? It will be incremented, the third one. I hope you know the third one, right? The third one is as default 1. If I write 2, it will have an increment of 2, right? That means the code will then run 2 or 3 times only, right? I don't have to write 1 as its default 1, but for clarity I'll write 1. Okay, so it's first it was 0, that's why the value of v2 becomes n, then it becomes 1. V of I is I, so v2 is equals to I plus n, that means n. Now it's n. Okay, so I hope you are able to understand this. I hope you are able to understand this. Let me write it here. Okay, first v2 was n, right? First it was n, then it became v2 is equals to v2 became in, right? Right, so it was 1, then it will be incremented to 2, so v of 2 is t, right? So v2 is equals to t plus n, that means 10. So v2 then become 10, right? v2 again, so now it was 0 1 2, now it will become 3. So v of 3, which is becomes I, so v2 is equals to I plus 10, so it become I10. Okay, I10. Right, now v2 again, right? v2 again, so v2 is I10. Okay, so v of 0 1 2 3 4, okay, v of 4, which is the last element, n, so n plus I10 becomes Nitin, so it's Nitin. That means the opposite. Let us take another simple example for clarity if you want, or the video has been completed, you can stop watching the video. So the another example I'll take HSK, whose opposite would be KSH, right? It's a small one. So v2 is equal to, first it's a blank, of course, then v of I, that means and it will run for 3 times only, right? V of I, which is v of 0 is h, so v of 0 is h, so v2 is equals to h plus blank, so v2 becomes h, right? v2 becomes h. Now v of 0, now it will become v of 1, which is s, so let me write it here, the index, for more clarity. Okay, 0 1 2, right? So first 0, which is h, now the value of I has been incremented to 1, so v of I is s, so v2 is equals to s plus v2, the earlier v2, which was h, so now v2 becomes s plus h, which is sh, right? v2, the new value of v2. So v of now, if earlier it was 1, now it becomes 2, so v of 2, which is k, so v2 is equals to k plus sh, so it becomes k sh, right? The opposite of s, the opposite of hsk. Okay, so I hope you have learned the palindrome string. So that's it. I hope you like the video.